Hey guys, it's Jessa. So, I'm finally starting the video for my birthday cardigan. My birthday project, it's a cardigan. I'm gonna keep pronouncing it wrong because y'all have yet to correct me. It's the Fouette cardigan, I'll put it here. And I talked about this a little bit in one of my videos in January at this point. I don't really remember when. Because I was too eager to purchase my yarn and purchase it all anyway. So I'm using the Knitting for Olive in their Merino and Cardamom, and then their Soft Silk Mohair and Dusty Moose. Using that held together, no biggie. But I figured at this point, because I keep forgetting to film the intro for this, I would tell you how far I got. I've completed the whole first back, a lot of people call it the back yoke. It's basically all I've done so far. I need to do the two front pieces and then connect it all. So I'm gonna get started on that. I think I'm starting with the front. I don't know. I need to finish to row 51. 151, which I think I did. No, I'm confused now. I'm so dumb. It's stitch 151. And then I cut my yarn, turn, skip this page, skip this page, skip this page. Well, we're done with the first section of the second section of the pattern. I'm gonna go grab the next section. I'll be right back. I have the next set of the pattern. Okay. So we're gonna start on the right front, cast on the stitches I need, and then get started. It wants me to cast on using my smaller needles, which I can't remember if I did originally I had to have. I'm gonna follow the pattern. Hey guys, fun fact, I'm gonna follow a pattern. Crazy. And I don't remember what the smaller needles are. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna cast this on and I'm gonna get moving on the right front panel. Yeah. I 100% should have this done long before my birthday. It's technically still January, it's the 31st. So, yeah, I'm gonna finish this long before then, which is really exciting because that means I might actually be able to wear it before it gets too warm for my birthday in May. But anyhow, this is a cable and lacework cardigan. I'm also filming this now because I can tell I'm going to burn through this project pretty quickly. It's done at a quite loose gauge as well. It's 21 stitches per 4 inches, and we're using a fingering weight and a mohair to get that. So really loose gauge. I think I'm doing 4 and 4.5 millimeter needles. I talked about this in one of my knitting podcasts that I posted relatively around the time of filming this. But I have a very bad habit of doing the rowing out. That's when you just can't have your tension correct on one of the rows of knitting or purling. I think my problem occurs specifically on my knit rows because I have the larger needle in my left hand when I'm doing the right side, larger needle in my right hand upon doing the wrong side of the project. Unless I can't do basic information, I think that's what happens. So with this project, I'm using 4 and 4.5 millimeter needles. I believe the project only initially calls for 4 millimeter, but I hate gauge perfectly using the 2 to make sure I don't row out. This pattern's also really easy, surprisingly. You pretty quickly lock into the charts, which is nice, especially since they have a spreadsheet layout of to track your rows, which is really helpful because we all know I'm not good at following things. So that's nice. And then I just also think this project's not going to take very long because that progress I showed you is probably over the course of like 5 days. I've started this several weeks ago at this point, but I've only really worked on it 4 or 5 days, 6 days maybe. So I'm blasting through this already. I'm already through one full piece of the diamond chart, and I'm almost about halfway through the second diamond. So I'm killing it, basically. It's long story short here. So I'm really excited for this project. I think as well, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet in any of my videos, but I'm thinking as well that I'm going to dye this yarn. My current little tift is I thought this was going to be much more of like a mousy gray brown kind of tone, holding these two strands together, but it is very much, you know, true neutral dust gray. And I don't love the color. I also don't think it'll fit well with my wardrobe really either. So I have a couple options then when it comes to dyeing it. I'm thinking either dye it a darker shade of gray, which I'd be fine with, or dye it like a brown tone potentially. I would just worry if I do it too dark of a brown, you're not gonna see the stitches very well, or you're not gonna see the cabling and the lacework very well. But I also don't know if I really care about that or not. In my cottagecore video from several weeks ago in current timeline, in that video I mentioned that I'd be fine with like dark gray adding to my wardrobe, or like a darker like chocolatey brown. And I think those are kind of the only two options I have for this yarn as well, since it is starting as a true like gray base. Let me know what you think about that. By the time you even see this project will be done, but I'm just curious to kind of know your thoughts on it. So that's where I'm at with that. I also bought way more yarn than I needed to. This is the Knitting for Olive Merino in Cardamom, and the Soft Silk Mohair in Dusty Moose. If you look at the cardamom on their website, there are tints, like hints of like a mousy brown in there. I'm not seeing it all though, which sucks a little bit, but it's fine. I bought way too much yarn, I think, as well, because I'm still in the first two balls that I used for knitting the swatches. I made two swatches. You can see them right here in this corner. It's that these two swatches are. And I've already done that much progress on those two skeins, so that's pretty cool. I don't think I'll need nearly as much yarn as I bought. I bought 11 of the mohair and 10 of the merino, specifically because I didn't have a pattern picked out at the time. I didn't have a pattern picked out at the time, and the like 3 or 4 patterns I was going back and forth on for this project varied significantly in the amount of yardage they needed. This one says I only need about 1750 yards. I think I'm gonna use a little bit more because the way where it crops at is a little bit short for my preference, so I think I might do a little bit more and then, you know, finish it off. And then the other cardigan I was looking at, it had a lot of sizes, but unfortunately not the size I currently am. And I'm a little bit worried about playing a fun game of let me make a smaller size and hope I fit into it. So that scares me a little bit. So I bought the yarn to meet that quota specifically because I didn't realize, because I can't read, as we all know. I didn't realize I didn't have my actual size, which realistically I guess I could have just done some extra math to do that pattern, but I didn't. Honestly, I just didn't really want to. I didn't really want to deal with it. But I'm really excited with this cardigan. I also think this is going to be the year of cardigans for me, because as you know, I have this one and my Daft Days one, and I'll have this one. I don't think I'm a sweater person, or if I am a sweater person, I have not found a construction that I like. So I don't really know. That's where we're at on this project currently. And we'll check in again either once I'm far through it or whatever. I don't know, we'll check in eventually. Alright, so I did a decent bit of locking in recently on this project. And honestly, I feel a little bit bad because I haven't filmed like any update. I think last we spoke, I talked about how I finished the back section of the yoke here. Well, since then, I've finished the entire front right, and I'm working on the front left currently. So that's very exciting. This project is simultaneously very mindless and simultaneously very not mindless, and I have to pay a lot of attention, which is a new concept for me that I'm not very good at. I haven't made any major mistakes that I can tell, at least. I'm not 100% sure though. And I will add, so we had like, I think I talked about this when I did this, but the saddle shoulder section we have here, where where the saddle shoulder is. It's late, I'm tired. But that section, we pick up stitches on either side, right? So for the front panel, or you do the back section first. So you pick up along the back, and you cast on a bunch, and then you do the same thing on the other side of the other saddle shoulder. And then when you pick up the stitches on the front, it tells you how many to pick up. But I kind of wish the pattern noted, like, oh, try to mimic where you picked them up on the back panel or something, because I didn't really think about it too much, if I'm being honest, when I was picking up stitches on both sides. And on the right front here, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, I'll zoom in if I need to, but it's not the cleanest join, like, or not join, it's not the cleanest, like, from where the saddle shoulder is, where this point and this point, like, line up, is not the cleanest on the right front. Not that anybody really cares. But then on the left front, it's much closer. It's still not perfect, but you can definitely see that it's definitely better. So that's cool. But I don't know, maybe that's just something I would have known to do if I've done something like this previously. But a little interesting, at least. This color of yarn is still not my favorite. I'm really considering dyeing this yarn once I finish this project, because I just don't like it very much. I think I talked about this in the first clip, or I talked about this previously at some point. I thought these colors were I thought cardamom, the merino here, I thought this was going to be a warmer, like, light gray or light brown gray tannish color, like teetering to those two realms. And it mixed with this dusty mousse is just a neutral fucking gray, and I don't like it. I don't like gray. I've never liked gray. Or, correction, the only time I've ever tolerated or liked gray is when it was a really dark shade of gray. But I feel like if I were to dye this dark gray, you're going to miss all the detail work that I've essentially put into this at this point. So I have a couple different options there of colors I can dye it. I'm thinking of like a dark purple maybe, or like a mauve-y, purpley, gray purple tone. I don't really know though. Obviously I'll gauge it better once I finish it. I'm a tad bit nervous still about the mohair. I just would hate 2 years in a row to make projects I'm not gonna wear. That'd be really frustrating to me. But holding this project, having it like sit on me while I'm working on it, I have it laying across my leg currently. Like, it doesn't really feel itchy, which is nice. But I'm also just not trying to get my hopes up, because I also thought the halibut sweater didn't feel very itchy, but lo and behold, I literally can't wear it for more than not even 2 minutes before I start just getting overwhelmed with how itchy it is. So, a little nervous about that still. We'll see how that goes though. Worst case scenario, I find out I absolutely can't stand mohair and I never use it again. And that's fine with me. I think I talked about this as well before. The reason I even ended up using mohair in the first place for this project as well was, one, the pattern's done holding like a strand of mohair with a strand of merino. But the other reason was a lot of people said that I likely just picked a bad mohair originally for the halibut sweater, which, fair, it's drops, it's not very high quality. And then I made those mitts as well, the Point Edward mitts I believe. I made those holding a strand of mohair as well. And I don't mind them. If my hands get like a little bit too warm though, I start feeling the mohair in that. But it's smooth. I can feel it, but it's not itchy. But a lot of people were saying that this mohair is really nice and not itchy when they've had experiences with other mohairs feeling itchy. So I'm banking on that a little bit. But otherwise, that's kind of where we're at. I think I will check in again either when I join, if I remember, or before I do the waist shaping, because there is waist shaping this pattern, which I've never seen before. But that's kind of our update for now. Again, I like it. I don't know if I love it necessarily, but I like it so far. I also don't know if I love just the giant, just stockinette section in the back. I feel like having one of our diamond motifs there would look really nice. But I don't know, maybe it has to do something with like the size grading up. It makes it so there's more stitches here than there would be in a normal sizing or on a smaller size or something. I don't really know. So I'll disclose today's date for the purposes of this conversation. It is currently April 4th, okay? And I asked for my birthday card again. I only have this done still. I have the whole back yoke done, the right front yoke, and I'm like a quarter to a third of the way in to the front left one. Would y'all be mad at me if like I didn't make this? I'm just not enjoying working on this right now. It takes so much effort in my brain, and I just don't have the like capacity to work on this. I literally haven't touched it for a month, I think. So I just don't really know what to do. Part of me wants to frog the whole thing. Part of me wants to just put it on pause, use the yarn for something else, call it a day. But my worry is that like one day, maybe I do want to continue working on this. I don't think I do though, because I don't like mohair, and I just don't like it. I'm just not enjoying myself is really the problem here. And I'm basically just trying to convince myself that it's okay for me to either stop working on it and frog it, or just flat stop working on it and leave it somewhere. But I don't really know. I'm just not enjoying it. I don't know what I'd use to, I don't know what I'd replace it with. What I might do, the brown and green cardigan that you can kind of see right here, I'll also pin the video up here. I might want to recreate that using the correct like stitch count maybe. I don't know if I'm a cable girly, okay? And I don't, and like that hurts a little bit to say, because like I like the way cables look, but I don't like doing cables. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun for me. Like this kind of cabling where I need to track almost 30 rows to make this diamond, I can't. I literally can't. It's so hard for me. There's been multiple times now where I've either messed up significantly or forgotten how the stitch count works, and then frogged back several rows, not realizing I was doing everything correctly, I just wasn't counting the stitches right. So yeah, would you guys be mad at me if I stopped working on this and I decided to pivot and do a completely different project instead? Won't be finished by my birthday, but that's okay. I'm working on another project that will be finished by my birthday. This would be a belated birthday gift to myself. What do we think? Thoughts, feelings, opinions? Everything's fine? But yeah. So that's where I'm at mentally with this project. I will add as well, the main reason why this project is so difficult for me is I am dealing with a ton in my personal life and in my job life. So by the time I do finish my job and stuff, I just don't have any energy. I don't have any mental power to do anything besides sit here and work on some little hexagons. You'll see a video about that. Or sit here and knit this little vest that I'm working on. Or like that's pretty much it. You've also probably seen a downgrade in my content because of that as well. I just don't have a lot left over after the end of each day. So the realisticness of the reality of me getting this done in the next 2 years is probably slim to none. So honestly, I think I am just gonna frog it. I don't want to, but I think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna frog it. I think that's the smarter choice here. That, or I'm just going to cut the yarn where it's at now and transfer everything that's being worked on or finished onto scrap yarn, and then just put this away somewhere. And then maybe I'll think about the next project, or the other project that I want to work on or use this yarn for. Because I think also I don't love the color combo. Like this project I feel like I've been doing from the start, and I feel like I've just been in denial about it, and now I'm like finally coming to terms about it, which is really frustrating because then I would have gotten a different color of the yarn if that was the case. But it's fine. I like the way the cardamom looks on its own, which is the wool. I like the way this looks on its own. I don't mind it. I like it. It's a nice neutral, like gray-brown kind of tone. I don't love mohair. I like the color, again, on its own. It's like a nice, true neutral gray. Together, I don't like it. Like, I just don't. So why would I finish this cardigan knowing when I finish it, I'm just gonna have to dye it anyway because I don't like it? You know, does this, hopefully I'm not just ranting, but that's the plan. I'll check back in once I figure out what I'm doing with this, or what project I'm doing instead. But At this point, I'm real sorry if you guys are real excited for this project, because I've filmed several clips at this point for this video, like 10-15 minutes worth of clips. That's gonna get cut down, as you've probably seen. But anyway, I'm gonna go work on this, and we'll check in again eventually. Alright, so I think we left off speaking about how I was I wasn't loving the Fouette cardigan, so I ended up frogging it. And I did the freezer trick. If you don't know the freezer trick, whenever you're using mohair, if you put your project in the freezer and then try frogging it back, typically you have a little bit of an easier time doing so. Like the fuzziness for some reason, because it's cold, like it just doesn't stick as much. Anyway, so I frogged that. I even gave away all of my mohair for this project because I don't like it. I mentioned this in another video recently. I think the reason I don't like mohair on my body is because I can feel it more than like just in those mitts I made, so I don't like it. So instead, okay, I am making kind of freehanding a cardigan here that I'm expecting to fit me once I've lost probably the majority of the weight that I'm trying to lose. You know what, we'll include a weight loss update here in this video. Anyway, so I have basically gotten to the point I was at previously in that Fouette cardigan with this cardigan. I'll give you a like zoom in-ish of the stitches. Basically what I'm doing, and what I'm calling it, is half brioche stitching, where on the front side, no, on the wrong side, I'm basically doing the normal brioche stitching, the brioche repeat when you're doing it. I'm basically doing that. And then on the right side, I'm knitting all the knit stitches and slipping all the purl stitches. So it's taking me 1.5 times the amount of yarn to get through 2 rows as it would for a normal like 2-row pattern. But I'm kind of loving it, honestly. It's forcing me to take my time and I'm really enjoying that. Okay, I did something kind of stupid, alright? But I'm feeling a lot more confident about it now. But last night, after I got to the join here for the sleeves, and I started working on the body, I was like, let me do a fit test just to kind of see how this looks. Hey guys, don't do a fit test knowing something will not fit correctly. Don't do that. Don't be me. So I did the fit test. I didn't hate the fit. Let me be clear. I didn't hate the fit. I kind of liked it. I think the V-neck's a little high in my opinion, but again, it doesn't fit correctly right now. So I can't tell if it's actually too high or if I just feel like it's too high because it doesn't fit right. And I'm trying to avoid the brown and green cardigan problem where it's just so long. The V-neck is so long that it's just not sitting right. Anyway, so I did a fit check and it's a little bit of a horrendous fit. So I started freaking out a bit last night because I was like, oh no, I'm gonna put all this work into this and then nothing, it's gonna be unwearable. When realistically not true. This project is using the measurement of a 48-inch bust measurement, okay? I'm currently at like a 50-ish. I think I used to be at like a 54. I'm now at like a 50-ish. And I'm already can tell that I'm going to continue to get smaller, which, fingers crossed, I'm going to kill it while I do that. So I'm more confident now. I also did a little bit of researching of like kind of what to expect with all this weight loss. Let's just insert the weight loss update here, okay? Essentially, it is currently April 18th, and I'm 1 pound away from losing 40 pounds, and I still have about 90 to 100 pounds left to lose, which feels insane to say out loud. But that's where I'm at. I don't know if you can really tell much of a difference. I mean, I can. This shirt, literally this shirt used to never be able to fit me. It was so tight. It like everything about it was way too tight and just didn't fit well. Now it fits somewhat loosely, which is, again, insane to tell. My husband also the other day like grabbed me by the waist and he was like, ooh, damn girl. And I was like, ooh, shit, look it up. So that was nice. But yeah, I lost just about 40 pounds in the last 4 months-ish. November to December, December to January, January, February, February, March to April. Sorry, 40 pounds in about 5 months. Just under 5 months, which, again, feels insane to say. Like, that doesn't feel like that's a real number. It's crazy. Anyway, so with that, I did a little bit of Googling, sleuthing, because I was really scared about the fit of this cardigan, and it just straight up not fitting. So I did a little research on like what I can kind of expect when it comes to losing this significant amount of weight, because I am trying to lose roughly 130 to 140 pounds, which is, again, insane. And so basically what I found out was roughly, depending on how, genetics and all of that work and how much like loose skin and stuff I'll have at the end, what I found out is I'll roughly fit into a medium up to like an extra large in shirts, like on average, because brands vary so much in sizing, it doesn't really help. But roughly it was telling me my waist measurement would be somewhere around like 36, 38 inches, which I'm fine with. I think currently my waist is like 45-ish inches, so I'm okay with that. It also said that I will lose a little bit of volume in the chest area, which I don't really care too much about, honestly. So with that, with knowing that information, I think this will fit. Also, I think I can make it long enough to where if I block it to be slightly wider, I should still have enough length to make it fit. However, the caveat to that as well is I have very limited amount of my merino left over. Okay, I'm working on another project, which I have to film an update on. But I'm working on another project, and it's going to be a hobbity cardigan, or a hobbity vest. You can kind of see. I'll pin the video if I've already uploaded at this point, or I'll tag it once I post it. Anyway, working on that, and I'm holding one strand of the Wonderland Fiberworks, Wonderland Dye Works Deep Ember, the orange from the Daft Days cardigan, and one strand of my merino here, because again, I estimated originally when I bought all this yarn for my birthday cardigan, I bought 2,500 yards. However, the cardigan I was originally making only required 1,800 yards. So I was like, oh, I'll have a couple balls left over. Let me use that for this project as well. Slightly regretting that now, potentially, because I only have 275, no, 50 times 3, nope, 50 times 6, 300. I have like 325-ish yards or grams left, which is about 6 balls and a half-ish, which is a little scary, okay? Because that means I only have like 1,600 yards left. But again, it's not that scary, because if I'm making a size for myself currently, 1,600 is not enough. But if I'm making a size for me smaller than I currently am, 1,600 should be plenty. Especially since I should add all of this except for the last 2 rows were all the first ball of yarn. And that's crazy. That's like, in the other cardigan, I think I was on ball number 3 by the time I got to close to this point, and I hadn't even completed the front left panel at that time. So, yeah. Again, looks real teeny tiny right now, especially since it's on my small cables. But we have a lot of stretch in the stitch, width-wise and length-wise, as needed. So I'm not as freaked out now. I should also mention for this, I don't know if I did or not when I originally started filming this. Not this clip, but the last one. I'm using the Kathy cardigan by the Crayabea. She's the same one who did the Daft Days cardigan. I'm using the Kathy cardigan as the blueprints of this cardigan, although I could have just made the Kathy cardigan. The only reason why I really didn't is I'm not really in the mood to deal with lacework right now and remembering what rows I'm on. So I'm using that as like the skeleton here, and then I'm using that half brioche stitch right now for this. I'm also low-key planning some projects I'm going to work on soon. I'm a little hesitant of this yarn, I won't lie. It feels really soft, so I'm kind of worried about it pilling. I've never used this before, as I've mentioned, so I don't know kind of what to expect when it comes to the lifespan. But I'm really interested in the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. If you've used it, please let me know below, okay? Let me know any thoughts, feelings, or opinions you want to tell me on it. I've heard it's a little rougher, which I think I'm okay with. I heard it's a little rougher. It's closer to like, I think, a DK worsted weight. I might be wrong on that. But from what I've heard, people really end up liking it. And this feels a little too soft in my opinion. I'm worried about the pilling, and then also sometimes if something's even like smooth, the texture will bother me. And that could just be because I'm really sensitive to a lot of materials and textures and things like that. So I'm a little worried about it being a little uncomfy, especially if it's like a slightly above, you know, warmer day. That's gonna bother the hell out of me, but obviously don't wear a 100% merino wool cardigan on a slightly warm day. Duh. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to working on this guy, and I'll check in probably once I have the body done. I'm really nervous about doing the sleeves, I won't lie. Because this is the 2-stitch repeat, I'm gonna do the sleeves in the round, and I don't know how to do the stitch in the round, so I'm probably gonna create a sample or a test and do that in the round and see how it works. I have nothing to be worried about. I think I'm also gonna try to do 2 at a time sleeves, but instead of doing them on the same cable, I think I'm gonna do them 2 separate cables, 2 rows at a time. So I'll do the full repeat of row 1 and row 2, switch to the other sleeve, row 1 and row 2, just to make sure my sleeves are the same length, because that usually bothers me. Like, I can tell when it's like 1 or 2 rows off. Anyway, so that's where we're at. That's what I'm working on right now. Alright, so my hands are like this because this shirt's not appropriate for YouTube, but we have a couple updates. First one being, I cut most of my hair off. I've had really long hair for the last 6.5, almost 7 years probably, and I don't do anything with it, so I cut a bunch of it off. I don't mind it. I kind of like it. There's some things I wish I did differently, especially since I cut it myself, but that's fine. So update number 2, we switched patterns again. Okay, now for some context here, as you've already seen, we tried one pattern, and the only reason I frogged that again was I just knew I wasn't gonna like the mohair, so I was like, why make something if I'm not gonna wear it? So I frogged it and gave away all my mohair to one of my knitting friends. And then I was like, okay, cool, I found a really cute pattern I can use this yarn for, or I found a stitch I really liked that I can use this yarn for, and I have plenty of this yarn to use. And I got pretty far. I got all the way to separating for the sleeves and like 3 or 4 inches of the body done before I frogged it. Which, to be fair, again, this was an issue with this stitch, which is if I didn't very precisely catch the float for the half brioche stitch side, if I didn't catch the yarn over properly, it just created this really elongated stitch, and then when I would try and tink back down that singular stitch line, by the time I get back up and fix it, one, it took me like 8 tries to figure out how to fix it properly, since there's technically 3 strands per row. And then secondly, even when I was fixing it correctly, each of those stitches was like double the width and stuff, and nothing I could do was fixing that problem, which was really frustrating. So instead, I went on Ravelry and I looked at as many patterns. I looked at so many patterns. Originally I was like, okay, maybe I should buy a second batch of this yarn so that I can hold it double. I don't want to do that. I've already spent a pretty penny on this yarn at this point. However, you'll see, hey guys, so I don't even know what video this clip is going into. I'm thinking my birthday cardigan video, my birthday sweater video now at this point. I don't really know, but I was planning to return to uploading content, which I guess I could start already, but let me explain. Hold on. Let me explain. Hold on. Let me explain. Basically, so since I've been doing a lot of knitting, as we all know, I love knitting, but a minor problem or inconvenience I have created for myself is putting expectations on myself or pressure on myself that are unrealistic. One of which being finishing my sweater / cardigan before my birthday after now switching to a 3rd pattern. Which doesn't sound actually like that big of a deal, since technically I think the first clip of this video is in January or February. So like, I've had plenty of time, right? Wrong. Like I've already talked about, I switch back and forth over projects, no worries. The second pattern stitch, whatever you want to call it, that I was doing, was a little more labor intensive on my hands. And I was like, this isn't worth it because it's so hard to fix drop stitches or stitches I mess up or whatever. I'll just frog the whole thing. So I did. And as you know, I'm now making the waffle loop roll neck by Other Loops, which I don't know if I've even mentioned this. I feel like they had another name before Other Loops, but I don't know the name. Like, I can't remember. So I switched to that pattern, and in 2 days I got through the entire, hold on, it's gonna be a little hard to show you, but I got through the entire back yoke section in about 3 to 4 days. So that was awesome. That was great. It was great progress, great progression, definitely going to finish on time. And then my hands started to hurt a little bit, but I was like, hey, this actually could be a number of things. I've been doing a lot more typing at my day job, so like maybe my hands just hurt from typing and I'll just keep knitting. First of all, what? Anyway, but that was my logic, so I kept knitting and I got through the first portion of the front left yoke, because this is going to be a sweater, so we do both the front sides and then we connect and then we do the rest of the front yoke. So I got through that section, and I started that section, I should say. And we went and walked Mr. Gibbs that night, and on our way home my wrist shot into some of the worst pain I've ever had in my life. It literally felt like someone was ripping my tendons open or like pulling on my veins and stuff in my wrist, which you can imagine how that would feel. It's not pleasant. So I ran to the store and got a wrist brace because I was like, oh no, I have a repetitive strain injury. I've never had this happen this badly before. What the fuck do I do? I kind of did nothing. I didn't knit for a couple days and I was like, okay, 48 hours, that should be enough. Let me start knitting again. Almost immediately, I was having pain in my other wrist. And then for the last 4 days, I've still been having pain in that wrist, even though I haven't been knitting. And I went and saw the doctor yesterday, and he has told me that he thinks I have a really minor case, luckily, of carpal tunnel. So for the next 3 weeks, I can't really do any knitting. I'm supposed to do 0% knitting for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think I'm physically going to be able to do that. I do use my knitting to help with my mental health and stuff, so not being able to knit or crochet is really hard for me. But I've made a deal with my husband. I'm allowed to knit for 20 minutes a day if I'm not having any pain. Part of the doctor's recommendation is that I wear these bitches literally all the time, as often as I can for the next 3 weeks, and then is assuming everything is fine and after the 3 weeks I have no pain or anything, then I can go back. I can go to wearing them either only at night or not at all if I don't need them. I'll probably for the next week or two after that wear them only at night just to be on the safe side of things. But that's where we're at. So I have a minor case of carpal tunnel. Still hurts to type at work, I won't lie. Or hurt is maybe an extreme thing. It's because, so I'm left-handed. I also switched my mouse to my left side because I thought maybe I just like injured my hand or something. Anyway, but because of the way I type, I never learned like home row. Like I had a class for it, but I never learned it. So the way I type is I drag my wrists kind of like hovering slightly above my keyboard, which flexes the palms of your, like flexes your wrist joint. So that is part of the contributor. And then on top of that, you know, knitting relentlessly 8 to 9 hours a day. So essentially my two options here are I do little to no knitting for 3 weeks. And I likely am able to knit again after that, just in moderation or like working my way up to knitting longer periods of time. Or I continue knitting and wearing these braces as often as I can, and I potentially permanently injure my wrists and will no longer be able to knit or crochet. Those are my two options at the moment. I'm gonna try to do like no knitting over the next 3 weeks, which is going to suck ass, but should be fine. It's really frustrating, honestly. I do use my knitting to really help with my mental health, along with help curb some of the anxiety I have in general. Being able to do that is going to be fun, but it's not going to be fun. It's going to be quite honestly really difficult, but I'm going to do what I need to be able to knit still. So with that being said, I didn't, you know, break my wrist or anything, but this girl I watch here on YouTube, is Shaya. I can't remember, honestly. I haven't watched her videos in a long time because I haven't seen them like pop up at all. But she apparently just broke her wrist and also can't knit. So like we're twinning at the moment, right? You should check out her channel though. Let's hope the next time we update each other is I have completed the front yoke section completely. That may be 3 weeks from now. That may be 2 months from now. We'll find out. Okay, so as you can see, I'm currently wearing where we're at on the sweater, and I'm so excited. Okay, first of all, I should note, I'm still technically on my knitting ban, but I will say I've been doing like little bits of knitting here and there. Like I started doing like 10-15 minutes a night just to see how my hands were doing. I think what happened is because I kept frogging this and then redoing it as fast as I could, I was just straining the muscles of my hand. I wasn't actually like giving myself carpal tunnel or anything. Still been wearing my braces at bedtime just in case. But last night I did about 2 hours of knitting. I did it throughout the day though, like to be fair. I did like 30 minutes, took a decent break, did like an hour, and then did like another 30 minutes like a couple hours later. So I have joined for the underarms, or I've joined for the body, I should say. I'm loving this. I did not think I liked the color, but I think I love the color actually. Like I think I actually really enjoy it. I'll know more obviously as I continue to work on it / finish it. So I might dye it like a dark red maybe. I don't know, it just kind of depends. You also get to see my new pants I got. But this is where we're at so far. I just joined for the body. I am so excited. So the underarm here is a little high. I'm a little worried about it, but I think it'll be fine once, you know, we have the rest of the body done and I block it out and everything. I did the underarm stitches that I picked up differently than how I did them for my ranunculus, because the way I did them there made them so tight and uncomfortable that that's a little bit too short. I think honestly, I wish I did like 2 or 4 more rows just before I before I joined for the underarm on that project, because it's so, the stitches I did that I added for the underarms literally have no stretch in them. I don't even remember what I did to do them, but this time I did you wrap around your finger, then you wrap around your needle, and then you take the loop around your finger, flip it over your needle, and pull it back, which I think is just a reverse backwards loop. I don't really know, but that's what I did. This is where we're at. Let me do a little spin for you, and then we'll probably check in once I finish the body, I think. Or really my plan is to get through this ball of yarn. I'm on ball number 2, by the way, so this yarn also goes very far for me, which is crazy. I literally joined, I think right here, I did the second ball, so literally 5 rows, I think, 5 to 7 rows before I joined for the body. So this yarn's gonna go pretty far. I'm pretty excited. Here's your little spin. Okay. Also ignore my hair, it's crazy. Ta-da! But yeah, so there you go. That's where we're at currently. I'm really low-key wishing still that this was a cardigan and not a sweater. But I think, okay, so for Lambtown, all right. Yes, Lambtown is 6 months away, okay? I'm fully aware of this. But for Lambtown, okay, I'm thinking I either buy yarn to make the Lakes sweater, the Great Lakes sweater by Ozetta, or I make the Great Lakes cardigan, I think is what it's called. Hold on. Okay, so there's the Lakes pullover, and then there's the Lakes cardigan, which I'll insert a photo here. I think I might get yarn to make the Lakes. Can you tell I'm having a stroke today? But to make the Lakes cardigan, I might get yarn for that because it's roughly an Aran weight, so it's like a weight 5 or 4-ish 5, so I think I can do it with worsted. Looking at the projects, people are using like Loops and Thread Impeccable, which is a worsted. They're using Camarose, which is like a worsted. They're using Ooh, they're using Knitting for Olive heavy merino with soft silk mohair. That's like another worsted. Let's see. Noro's a big one. I don't think Lambtown's gonna sell Noro. Obviously, it's, you know, a bunch of smaller designers, so I don't think I'll do that. But in general, it seems like it's roughly like a worsted weight yarn. Worst case scenario, also, if it's supposed to be more of an Aran weight, which is slightly bigger than worsted, what I could do is get as much yardage as I need for one size up than the size I want to make, which really wouldn't be too much more, I think. Let me look. So it looks like the size I want to make, I need about 1,300 yards. I will say though, again, this is the problem with losing a bunch of weight. I don't know what size I should be aiming for. Like, should I be aiming for my current bust measurement? Or what I think my bust measurement is going to be after I lose all this weight. Because I also don't want to be swimming in some of these projects. Like, there's a handful of projects, as you know, I've already made in the last couple years that I'm going to be swimming in when I wear next, or when I wear once I lose all this weight. So I think it looks like for 3 sizes in a row it's 1,300 yards. So maybe my bust currently, I think, is close to, let's just measure it actually and find out. I was gonna say, I think it's close to 53 or 54. Uh, 52-ish, 52, 53. So it looks like the size I'd want to make is the 54¼ finished bust circumference. That'd give me 2 inches of positive ease, at least in the bust area. But I think because the yardage requirement is the same, I might go to the 49¼ finished bust measurement. Just because I'm really worried about having too much positive ease after everything is said and done. I don't want this to be, like, I like my knits to be kind of wearable with everything I make. So I don't like them to be too oversized because then I feel like I can't really wear them as much. Anyway, also this is really like nice and cozy. Like, it doesn't feel super thick either, which is nice. So I might be able to wear this as like a shirt too, depending. Gibby. Sorry, Gibby's trying to go underneath my husband's desk to eat his crumbs he dropped. Come here. Come here. Come to bed. But, yep, so that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep working on this. I'll check in when how do I want to do this actually? So what I did for the I think if I remember correctly, what I did for the halibut sweater was I did 1 sleeve, finish the body 2nd sleeve, which I like that method quite a bit. I was gonna try to do this 2 sleeves at a time, which no, not doing. So I think my plan is that once I finish this ball of yarn, since I did start it semi-recently, once I finish it, I'll do either 1 sleeve or both sleeves, because I am unfortunately a connoisseur, you could say, of Sleeve Island. I often get stuck there. In fact, that's what happened with my Daft Days cardigan. You can check out that video. I had everything done except for like 4 inches on a sleeve and the cuff for like a month and a half. I just didn't want to do it, frankly. Anyway, I'm gonna go work on this. I'll check in next when I check in next, probably when I do the sleeve. So, as you can see, we have finished the 2nd ball of yarn. I'm, again, really surprised I like this color. I really didn't think I would, and I didn't think it would look like nice on me, but I think this color actually really works, especially with my wardrobe, but like also just works in general with my skin. It doesn't like wash me out too much, and it's not too similar either. I'm gonna make the back 52 centimeters, or from the very top all the way to the end for now. 52 centimeters. I'm at 36 and a half. And I only have, I say only, and I have 3 full balls of this in here still. And I think the rest is like a ball and a half. So I have 4.5-ish. Hold on, let me check my list. I have just under 400 grams. So that's just under 8. Okay, so I have just under I have just under 8 balls of yarn. 3 are still in the same, are in the original cakes. And then I think one of these is, one of these ones I've caked up is a full 50 grams as well. I have 395 grams left, or total, including these 2 skeins. Which means I have like 200 grams left in this bag. I'm starting to get a little nervous, I won't lie. Basically everything from the underarm to my current spot is the second skein. So if we take that and we measure it, it's gonna give me roughly, like, this is gonna be way shorter than it wants to be, I think. Okay, here's my plan, here's my goal, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna knit the collar, I think, next. And then I think I'm gonna do both sleeves. I'd rather have this be a little bit short and cropped than have to shorten my sleeves, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna do the collar and then we'll go from there. All right, so I finished the collar and I'm on skein number 3. So I figured because the collar is not gonna take very much, I used one of the, or 2 of the like scrap little cakes I made that equaled roughly 50 grams. I think it was 53, but I'm noticing like all of these roughly weigh like between 56 and like 52. Anyway, so we're on skein number 3 then. Finished the collar and I did my whatever bind off it is that I do, and I literally just need to show you guys what this bind off is so that somebody can tell me what the fuck the bind off is. Doesn't really matter though. Did that bind off so that it didn't look weird. I'm a little nervous about how high up it is on my neck because I can sometimes be a little bit weird about stuff touching my neck. But when I kind of stretch it out and I kind of fit it the way I think it'll actually sit, it's far enough away from like the front of my neck that it's not going to bother me too much. So now, originally my plan was going to go to the sleeves, but I forgot. I still have my needles on my cable here. So I'm gonna try to go for the sleeves. I might even do double points. Maybe I'll use my double pointed needles the whole way for the sleeves. I think I would just enjoy it more that way. I don't like dealing with, what's it called? I was gonna say knitting in the round. Oh my gosh. I don't like dealing with magic loop or traveling loop. I feel like it just creates some sort of weird jog. I feel like that same thing happens for me with using double point needles, but it's not as like prevalent after blocking in my opinion. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I do need to look at these directions for the sleeves to find out if there's really any shaping to them, and I really don't think there is. Let's see, you cast on a certain number. Hold on, what? So it would only have me do 6 decreases, so we drop by 12 to get our next number, and then we do it again for 4 more. We drop by another 8. Don't know if I like that, because like in the photos, like the sleeves aren't very closely knit, but I like when they're close to the skin. I don't like when they're super baggy. So I think I'm gonna modify this and do every 5th till I feel comfortable, until I like it, or I'll go for about an inch and then do all the decreases every 4th or 5th row. I don't know, I'll think about it, but I'm gonna follow whatever it wants us, whatever like stitch rate it wants us to follow. That's not true. I don't know. I just prefer my sleeves a bit more of a tighter knit than this like loose knit that appears in these photos. So that's probably the only modification I'm gonna make. I'll put a lifeline in and then try every 4 rows after about an inch and see how I like that. Or excuse me, I'll knit an inch, put in a lifeline, and then every 4 rows I'll decrease for a bit and see how I like that. Okay guys, I'm not on camera right now because I've got a big reveal. I completed the first sleeve. I'm so excited about it. I am, because I'm losing all this weight, I am becoming a little bit self-conscious about certain parts of my body, and that really bothers me. But I feel like with how I did the sleeve and how the sleeve fits, at least right this second, which it will grow a tiny bit when I block it, and also get looser as I continue to lose weight, I think this sleeve looks pretty damn good. I pulled it up a little bit just because I'm not 100% sure how far down they're gonna sit. I can feel that this one around the collar is positioned a little bit lower than this side, but I can't really control this side at the moment because there's nothing on it really except for my pickup stitches for the sleeve, which I picked them up on the way to the vet today for Mr. Gibby. Don't worry, everything's fine. He just had his annual appointment and I wanted to have something to do while at the vet. Fun fact, he doesn't let me do anything at the vet because he gets a little nervous. And of course, I am mom, so I am the one and only. But I'm loving this pattern. I think I've talked about this a little bit. I'm actually really enjoying this project a lot more than I thought I would. I'm also really enjoying the fit. Currently, since I'm losing weight actively, it is a little bit weird on the fit. It's like just at exact size or like a tiny bit too tight for exact size, which is both an amazing thing to see and terrifying to me at the same time. Sleeve is perfect length in my opinion. I followed exactly what the pattern said, which I think was 37 centimeters in length. I technically went to 38, and I think I only did 8 or 9 centimeters for the cuff portion, which is fine. I did use double points, so I will say I personally don't like working in the round at small gauges very much. The traveling loop, magic loop, or using like just a longer cable or like the smallest cable in my kit for my Leahys, because I've snapped 2 different cables now doing that kind of thing. And then also I just don't like the kind of like ridge that occurs all through the project, so I do use double points for my sleeves. I currently have it cast on with my circulars for the opening of the sleeve until about 3 sets of decreases, then I need to switch to the double points. But I did also for the cuffs and for the collar and for the waistband when I get to it. I've actually gone down an extra size in the ribbing needles. It wants me to use 3.5s. I went down to 3.25 because I like my stuff to be a little bit more cinched. Plus when I'm doing 1x1 rib, I know my stitches are quite loose and I really haven't figured out a way to fix that yet. So if I were to use a 3.5, it's going to be a little bit looser than is aimed for the project. So I went with 3.25 because I know it's going to be a little bit looser than a 3.25 would be. So it's probably a little bit closer to a 3.5, if not like a little bit less than that. But yeah, it's been about a week since we talked last, so it takes me about a week to do a sleeve. Goal is to finish the second sleeve. We also just finished the 3rd round of yarn, or 3rd ball of yarn. At this point, I literally used the last bit like in the middle section of this cuff. Also low-key liking the look of a single sleeve, so maybe I'll make a garment that has like a scoop collar here and just doesn't have a sleeve on this arm. I don't know, maybe I'm just really feeling myself, I don't know. But that is where we're at the moment. I think the next time we check in is going to be when I have the second sleeve done and we're going to do a try on like we are now just to see how the fit looks. But again, I'm really enjoying this. I still have, including this one, 3 full balls of yarn left, plus I think roughly 3 to 4 balls of miscellaneous like mini skeins or whatever from the other 2 projects I tried to make with this yarn. So there's that. But that is where we're at. I'm gonna go keep working on this. Alright guys, so I did this for this first sleeve. I'm doing it again for the second sleeve, okay? I may or may not have completed the entire second sleeve in 2 days. Boom, bitches! Killing it, right? Sleeves are perfect length in my opinion. They're just above my wrist, and I can also, you know, slide them both up as needed. I'm still figuring out this stupid bind off that I did, I will say. It's the bind off that I do normally. Again, I have no idea what bind off it is. I need to figure it out. But if I bind off too tightly, I lose all the elasticity in the ribbing. So I had to redo the ribbing on the left sleeve twice, and it's still a little tight comparative to the right side. It's fine. I don't really care. It's not like cutting off circulation or anything. But let me pull these back down. We're killing it. So currently / next steps here for this guy is knitting in the round, I believe for 20 more. Sorry, I totally forgot to pause my video. I think I need to knit in the round for 20 more centimeters before I do the ribbing. And again, I'm saying this for myself mostly. This is not how this is going to look in like 6 months. So the fit right now might be a little bit weird once it's completed, although I don't think it'll be too weird. because it is a little bit loose right now at the moment, so I'm assuming that's going to stay that way. I can also aggressively block it if I need to, which I don't think I will, but regardless, this is what we're working with at the moment, and I'm stoked as hell, okay? That's really the whole thing. So, I'm gonna start working on the knitting in the round for this. I'm not excited to bind off the like 300 stitches in the end, but it is what it is, so I'm gonna do that. As all you can also tell in the last few clips, I've been really fucking with this collar. Once I block it, it'll be fine, and I know it'll be fine then. It's just until then, it's just like, no touch, you know? So, yeah, this is where we're at. And so we'll probably check in before I do the ribbing, I think, is what I just said. I don't really remember. All right, so I'm gonna keep my hands here because I'm not wearing a top underneath this like I usually do. But basically, I'm checking in because I'm gonna do a mid-project block, and you'll see we're just under my chest here. However, that's with pulling on the collar a little bit. I have 8 centimeters left for where the project wants me to split or stop and do the ribbing, which is not very far. And I can't tell if that's because of the way the stitch pattern is. I can't tell if this is because the style itself is cropped in the photos. Like, it's really hard to tell in my opinion with how it's been styled. Let me see if I find it, the page here. So like if we go to the front here, I'm pretty sure that's cropped. Like in all those photos, I think it's cropped to some degree, especially since it's tucked in there in the front, but I can't tell for sure. So I'm gonna do a mid-project block just to see how this is sitting. One, because I know I am still currently larger than the size I'm making, so I'm trying to figure out if the length issue I'm having is because I'm stretching the stitches too far versus it being, you know, the actual length, and so on. So plan is I'm gonna start blocking this today. I have it partially on my bar record at the moment because I want to do the fit check, and I'm gonna do the mid-project block today and then pause on this until it dries, obviously, so I won't have it done by next Friday, which is okay because I'm gonna be starting a new cardigan in the meantime while this one's drying. I am going to be starting the Kathy cardigan by Crayabea. She's the same one who did the Daft Days cardigan. I'll pin the video here if it's not uploaded yet, where I talk about this initially, but I'm gonna get started on that. So that is today's status on this project. I present thee with the blocked version of the sweater. Okay, so my hype, sorry, that was George holding my seat for me. My hype for this sweater has just been raised to a fucking 1,000, okay? So I finished doing my mid-project block. It now sits decent, like a couple inches at least below my bust line, which is nice. And I'm so excited to finish this. I'm not loving the collar. I've worn this a couple times today because it's cold in the morning for me. So I've worn it a couple times today. The color is maybe a little much, so I might rip this back and make it a crew neck. I don't know though. I think I'm gonna wait till I'm done first to do that, to make that final decision. I'm really tired. As I've kind of mentioned, my husband and I are going on vacation at the end of this week, so technically our vacation starts and is Friday of this week. We just finished work, or I just finished work for Tuesday of this week. And I'm quite honestly drowning at work this week, and it's a lot. So every day I'm very exhausted, as one would say. Okay. However, blocking turned out fantastic. This fits actually quite nicely, even at my current size, which is nice. My sleeves blocked out a little bit longer, which is nice. I was pretty content with the sleeve lengths to begin with. So I didn't really try to block them. Really the only parts I pinned were the shoulders and the sides, just to make sure that the stitch count actually laid flat. Everything else was just essentially laying on my blocking mats in a very chaotic way behind me here. But yeah, and I actually really like the color of this. I've said this every time I tried this on. I really enjoy the color of this sweater, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't think I would, but I do. Also, the sleeves are literally just the perfect size for, like, if I'm feeling a little warm, just pull them up a little bit and, like, I'm immediately not so warm. I was just telling my husband, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to wear this sweater, but I have to finish the sweater to wear the sweater,
And then I realized I hadn't checked in with you guys last night when this technically finished blocking. It was still damp, so I really didn't want to put it on or anything, so I didn't. But yeah, so this is actually finished blocking today. Still on my barber cord. But I'm really loving the way this sweater's coming out, and I can't wait for it to be finished. So I'm gonna put this back on my needles. That's a lie. I'm gonna transfer my other project, that's the Kathy cardigan, to another set of needles, and then transfer this back to the original set of needles, and then I'll check in when I do that. Alright. So Mr. Gibbs is going to be playing with his toys in the background because we had to clean them all up for our unit inspection. So he might be squeaking a bunch behind me, alright? But I want to tell you guys that I put my sweater onto my needles, and then I immediately started knitting. So I did the 5 more centimeters I needed in the waffle stitch. You can very clearly see where it's been blocked and where it hasn't been blocked. And now I'm in ribbing hell. I'm only on 3 centimeters. I think there's a chance that I can get this done by Friday, okay? Basically what I was trying to say is I basically have a whole extra day to knit. So I'm gonna do my best to get through as much of the ribbing as I can tonight, and then hopefully have most of tomorrow to block the bottom half of the sweater, and then I'm gonna blow dry it on cool. I know blow drying has done me dirty in the past, but I think I can get away with it for this project if I put it on, keep it on cool. Gibby. But yeah, so plan is to get through this fuck ass ribbing. I'm only at 3 centimeters. I need to be at 8. And, oh, what a drag. If I'm being completely honest. But that's what I'm focusing on. I have this much of a skein left, which isn't much, but it'll go a long way. So hopefully it means I don't have to tie on another ball of yarn for this project. And hopefully if I do have to tie on another ball of yarn, it's not when I'm in the middle of doing my cast off. So there we go. I'll check in hopefully when this is casted off. Okay, that's the new rule. All right, it is 9:30 p.m. Wednesday. Okay, we act a tiny bit, all right? If we've learned anything from me in making sweaters and working at fine gauges like this, ribbing is my fucking hellscape, okay? I was just telling my husband that if I have one bad knitting hot take, it's that ribbing never needs to be more than about 3 inches, okay? And even then, pushing it, okay? At least at fine gauges like this where we're working with fingering weight yarn, okay? I could maybe let it slide for like a worsted weight. I'm losing it, okay? I think literally I'm gonna finish this row. Hold on. I need to do 8 centimeters, okay? That's what it wants me to do. I'm at 4. No way in fucking hell am I doing 4 more centimeters. No, I'm not doing it. And technically I make the rules, so I can decide to not do it if I want to. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish this row, and then I'm gonna cast off, or begin the cast off tonight. I doubt I'll get through the full cast off tonight because it's a long one. But that's where I'm at, okay? And if you have a problem with it, you can tell me in about a month. I told you so, okay? Because I'm gonna be bitching about the length of the fucking ribbing, and I don't care, okay? I don't care. Yell at me then. I'm casting this shit off. I have like over half the stitches left for this row though. And then I can cast it off. So that's what we're doing. Here's a little sneak peek of what it's looking like. You can see like this whole section is the extra bit I did post mid-project block. And then of course the ribbing. I think the ribbing's long enough, honestly. It's like just under 2 inches, I think. But goodbye. You guys get to see my messy table. That's because we are going on a trip tomorrow. But the final reveal. Ta-da! Ay. Yeah. I also put on the outfit I'm gonna wear tomorrow as well. So here's a look for you. And I've got a tank top on underneath, and I've got my leggings on, so if it gets too warm, I can just take the top 2 layers off. But we did it, boys! We finished it in time for the trip. Okay.
little note sheet here. This is my little book of goodies. I write down every project I start. Okay. So, let me actually sit down because we're gonna talk a bit about this project. Okay, so this sweater. I can't remember exactly how much I've talked about it because a number of reasons, but mostly because it's been so long since I officially started this sweater, and it's been 6 months since I've started trying to make this sweater. But so to begin with, this is in the Knitting for Olive normal merino in cardamom. I love this yarn. I did not think I was going to. I thought it was gonna be a little too itchy for me. It does soften up once you wash it or once you block it. So I really like that. I'm very interested in the heavy merino now, and I maybe want to make like a beanie out of some of it or something, just to see if I like the difference. I've heard some people say that for the heavy merino, it's a little bit more like textured. So I think I would just get enough to make like a little beanie and just to see if I like it. I did the main portion of the sweater, so the sleeves and the body, in 4mm needles, and then for the cuffs of the sleeves and the collar, I did this in 3.25mm, and then the body ribbing, I did it in 3.5. That's just because the 3.25 I knew was going to bring it in too much, and I was a little worried about it. I did make the size L or large, or the 125cm bust version. I will say the fit of this is a little bit different than what it's going to be in a few months anyway. It is a little bit closer to like an exact fit type of item on me right now. However, as I continue to lose weight, it will be more of the oversized fit that I'm looking for. So I'm okay with that. I started this project on April 23rd, and I officially finished it, like, what is it called? Bound off, there we go. I officially bound off yesterday, June 10th. So about a month and a half. That's also not including the like 2 to 3 week stint where I wasn't knitting or crocheting at all because I injured my hands. I have a couple notes here regarding some stuff I did. For the sleeves, I did not follow the decrease method it wanted me to. I was really worried about getting the batwing effect. That's just where you decrease too quickly and there's like a seam line here that like clearly it just sits like that. It just sits really weird. So I was really worried about that. So instead of doing the decrease every 6 then decrease every 4, I just did decrease every 8 until I was at a comfortable size, really. So I started at 87 stitches and ended up dropping down to 63. So about a 24 stitch decrease. So that's not too bad. And I roughly, my decreases stop around this point here. Which is fine to me. That's a lie. They stop here. My hand was moved when I was turning it. But yeah, they stop over here in this section. But yeah. For the cuffs, I only ended up doing 8 centimeters of ribbing. I didn't really want to do 10, so I didn't do 10. Similar concept with the body ribbing. I only did 3.5 or 4.5 centimeters. Let me double check on that actually. Okay, so I did like just about 4.5 centimeters of ribbing, which again, fine with me. I was stuck in ribbing hell, and it's literally the one thing I can't stand doing is body ribbing, and I get stuck on Body Island way worse than Sleeve Island. But that's pretty much it, I think. If I were to make this again, which I very well might, I think I would do a split hem. I think that would look a little bit cuter with the kind of style I'm going for. I also would do a crew neck collar instead of a roll neck collar. That's just a personal thing though. I don't love things super close and high up on my neck. It makes me just feel uncomfortable most of the time. This is like, this sits far enough out from my neck to where it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah. All in all, I'd like to say this may have been the 3rd attempt at a birthday project, but we were successful. 3rd time's a charm for sure. And I definitely did make this in time for the 104-degree weather we're having here in California. I hate it so much. It's 104 today. I know we literally just said that, but for realsies, 104. What the fuck? Anywho, I think that's gonna conclude this video. If you have any questions, comments, feelings, leave them below. If you want to see more from me or see
if I end up adding more ribbing to this project, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!